This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by...
I'm standing here with Ofer of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, who moved here 6 months ago, is that correct?
Yes.
And now, what was your profession when you first moved to New Hampshire as a Free Stater?
I was a software engineer before I moved. Since I moved, I've been unemployed, happily and voluntarily.
Okay. And what made you decide to move at the time you moved?
Circumstances conspired to make it a good opportunity. My company was just purchased, a nice little bonus, decided now's the time, and the Ron Paul campaign was just picking up. So I thought, hey, that's a good thing that I can do when I'm out there.
And you, were you part of Operation Live Free or Die initially?
No, I came before OLFOD was created, but I participated by offering to host people and donating and all that.
Oh, okay.
So I met a lot of people in Operation Live Free or Die.
Where did you move from?
Los Angeles.
What was the hardest part of moving to New Hampshire?
There was really nothing that hard about it. I mean, preparations really, but that's nothing special. Quitting my job, packing everything, making sure, tying up all the loose ends. But the drive across the country was fun. I took a month doing it. And when I got here, I just got a hotel, went looking for an apartment, got an apartment, moved in. Meeting people is not hard because you just join the organizations and the groups and you have like an instant family numbering in the hundreds. So I now know hundreds of people, even though I've been here 6 months and I'm generally fairly shy and introverted.
What was the best thing about moving here?
Living in the world that I never imagined might exist. All your life you're wondering, like, what is this crazy world? Why are people so stupid and nuts? And then you come here and people are rational. And I don't think you can find that probably anywhere else.
What's your favorite kind of activism, Ofer?
That's a good question. I did some of the conventional stuff when the Ron Paul campaign was happening, like canvassing and phone calling and sine waves, and it was all pretty good. But I think it's much more fun to just sort of find your own creative way of applying your personal skill set to furthering the cause of liberty in whatever way seems to be most valuable or most lacking. So as a software engineer, I'm hoping to do a lot of contributing to the technology of the movement, helping out with websites. And I recently researched and published a document on how to become a state rep, because it turns out it's really easy, and it's really important for us to recruit as many as possible, but there was no well-organized guide saying, here's exactly what you need to know. So that seemed an obvious gap to me, so I filled it, and it's been really successful.
What would you say is, what's your take like on the whole sort of gap between the sort of the political activists and the more civil disobedience activists? What's your take on all that?
I haven't dealt too much in the civil disobedience community. I know that a lot of them like to center around nhunderground.com. I support it in terms of people. It is an effective technique, but I'd prefer to only engage in it myself when there was a particular reason to do so, like as part of a larger strategy. Like, for example, there was a demonstration where people gave a manicure on the steps of the Capitol in order to protest requiring a manicurist license. And I think they were trying to get arrested. They might have succeeded. As part of a campaign to support a bill repealing manicurist licensing, or a campaign to bring awareness to the ill effects of regulation and licensing, occupational licensing in general, that's great. But just to cause trouble for the sake of causing trouble, or just to stand on your ground because you don't want to give that particular ground, like, if, for example, if you decide it's wrong to pay taxes and I'm not going to pay taxes because it's wrong, well, if the net effect is that you're going to get arrested, I'd prefer they didn't, because they're much more useful to us outside of jail.
What's your take on, what would be your message like to folks who are considering moving to New Hampshire?
Do it as soon as possible. What are you waiting for? Don't wait for 20,000. We don't need 20,000. We're already doing great things with 500, about 250 that were here when the vote was taken, and about 270 that have moved since. We're rocking. So, we double that or triple that, and we're halfway there. We don't need 20,000, so come now.
All right. Thanks, Ofer.
My pleasure.
I don't know if you were aware of this or not, but there are some pretty scary things happening in this building, the State House in Concord, New Hampshire. Fortunately, there is the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. They're fighting back, but they need your help. They offer free training. They offer courses, ways that you can learn how to be most effective in fighting for liberty inside the State House. Visit nhliberty.org to find out when the next class is. If you take it, you'll be a much more effective voice at stopping these folks from taking away your liberty. nhliberty.org